Hi students, today's topic mineral nutrition part 1. In this topic we are going to discuss about some important topics like classification of minerals, macronutrients and micronutrients and their deficiency disease and symptoms. So, the deficiency disease and symptoms of macronutrients and micronutrients. So, these are the topic we are going to discuss in this class. As usual, before going to the topic, let us see one Thirukural. Inna seyyamai அறிவினான் ஆகுவதுண்டோ பிறிதின் நோய் தன்னோய் போல் போற்றா கடை. மற்றோர் உயிர்க்கு உண்டாகும் துன்பத்தை தமக்குற்ற துன்பமாக கருதி அதனை நீக்கி காக்க முற்படாவிட்டால் ஒருவன் பெற்ற அறிவினால் வரக்கூடிய பயன் உண்டோ இல்லை என்பதுதான் இதன் பொருள். What benefit has he derived from his knowledge who does not endeavor to keep off pain from another as much as from himself? Let us see the topic. A solution to pollution is a rhyming word. What is the meaning for solution for the pollution? So, you can see in wetland the increased organic concentration of wetland, that is called eutrophication. Any water bodies, the increase of organic and inorganic compounds that leads to eutrophication, which causes a great problem like algal blooming. So, the water becomes unpleasant. To solve this problem, there is one solution. So, what is the solution? Growing a plant on the water bodies. For this, you can keep one treatment method, that is called floating treatment wetland. It is called FTW. This method, there are 4 layers: floatable bamboo at a base, styrofoam, the second layer, third layer conipax with gravels, and last 4th layer, the final layer, to support cleaning agents. So, some plants like vetiver, citronella, tulasi, withania, these plants are used as a cleaning agents. When these plants growing on the water bodies, what will happen means the roots of these plants, the microbes present on the roots will remove the organic matter in the water. So, the microorganism consume organic matter and reduce the pollution. So, this method is called a floating treatment wetland. So, this method will solve the problem of eutrophication. You can see the picture, the floating treatment wetland. The floating treatment wetland plant, you can see the roots, microbes growing on the roots will remove the organic compounds. By consuming the organic compounds, it removes the pollution from the water. So, here the microbes also used and the plants also used. You can see next one topic, that is minerals, classification of minerals. And the minerals, what is the minerals? All the plants obtain nutrients from the atmosphere, water and soil. So, the minerals, the plants absorb the minerals mostly from the soil. But some of the minerals which are not absorbed through the soil, for example, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. These minerals normally called non-mineral elements. These are obtained from air and water, not from soil. So, these minerals are called a non-mineral element. And one more point, the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen These are all commonly called as skeletal elements. Mostly 94% of the dry weight is made up of these three elements. So, these three elements are very important. The plants obtain these elements from air and water. Next, there is one criteria for essentiality of minerals. In examination, they will ask one question: how you know the elements are essential, the minerals are essential? How you identify the essential minerals? The scientists Arnon and Stout gave some criteria for essentiality of minerals. To prove the essentiality of minerals, these scientists gave some criteria. So, what are the criteria? First, you can see the first point, the element necessary for growth and development. So, those elements which are necessary for growth and development called essential mineral. Second point, it should play a direct role in the metabolism of plant. So, all the metabolism of plant, these minerals should have a direct role. So, the minerals have a direct role, means that is called essential mineral. Third point, it cannot be replaced by other elements. We cannot replace this element with the other element, means that is called essential mineral. And the fourth point, the deficiency makes the plants impossible to complete the vegetative and the reproductive phase. So, because of the deficiency, the plant can't able to complete the vegetative or reproductive growth, that is called essential mineral. So, these are the four criteria for essential minerals. These criteria given by Arnon and Stout. So, in examination, maybe in a 2-mark question, write any two criteria for essential mineral given by Arnon and Stout. Next, the classification of minerals based on the quantity. We can classify the minerals based on the quantity. See, for example, macronutrients, micronutrients, unclassified minerals. So, these are the three category of minerals based on the quantity. So, macro means which are required in a higher concentration. So, macro means large. Micro, which are required in a less concentration, means that is called a micro. So, the minerals which are required in a less concentration called a micronutrients. Next, the third category, you can see sodium, silicon, cobalt and selenium. These minerals are not included in the essential minerals. Some plant it is required for some important activities. This is classified into a group called unclassified minerals. For example, silicon, it is essential for pest resistance and prevent water lodging and cell wall formation in Equisetaceae and Cyperaceae and Graminae. These plants require silicon for pest resistance, prevent water lodging and it is essential for the cell wall formation. So, these minerals are called unclassified minerals. Next, classification of minerals based on mobility. Mobility means movement. Suppose in examination you will get one question. You can see one plant, the deficiency symptom first appear on old leaves, senescent leaf. Senescent means old leaf, aged leaf. Or the first appearance, the deficient symptoms first appear on young leaves. Then how you classify the minerals? So, based on the movement of minerals only, the deficiency symptoms may appear young leaves or old senescent leaf. So, based on the mobility, there are two categories. One is actively mobile minerals and another one is relatively immobile minerals. Actively mobile minerals relatively immobile minerals, or we can say immobile minerals. Some minerals move slowly, so that is why it is given relatively immobile. So, two category. We can say actively mobile minerals, relatively immobile minerals, or we can say mobile minerals and immobile minerals. Let us see first category, the actively mobile minerals. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, chlorine, sodium, zinc and molybdenum. So, the deficiency symptom first appear on old and senescent leaf because of the mobile nature of the minerals. These minerals are moved to the young leaves. So, what will happen? Now, the old and senescent leaves will show the deficiency symptom. So, actively mobile minerals mean the deficiency symptoms first appear on old and senescent leaf. What about relatively immobile minerals? If you take example, calcium, sulfur, iron, boron and copper. These mineral shows the deficiency symptom on young leaves due to the immobile nature. So, these minerals are present on old leaf, it won't move to the other parts of the plant, mean the deficiency symptom first appear on young leaves. So, you can keep only two important points. Mobile elements mean the deficiency symptom first appear on old and senescent leaf. Relatively immobile minerals mean the deficiency symptom first appear on younger leaves. These two concepts you have to understand. For this, there is a picture is given here. Mobile minerals, we can see the movement of minerals given as a small dots. Where the symptoms are appear means because of the movement of minerals to the younger part of the plant, the deficiency symptoms appear on old and senescent leaf. The next picture, the immobile minerals. The minerals won't move. So, that is why in the picture it is given there is a cross. The minerals won't move to the other parts of the plant. So, it is settled where older leaf. So, the deficiency symptom appear on young leaves. Okay. Next, macronutrients, micronutrients and unclassified minerals based on some quantity. So, for example, macronutrients excess than 10 millimole per kg in tissue concentration, 0.1 to 10 milligram per gram of dry weight, and micronutrient less than 10 millimole per kg in tissue concentration, less than 0.1 milligram of dry weight. That means these are all called micronutrients. The unclassified minerals required for some plant in trace amount. Example, sodium, cobalt and silicon, selenium. Okay. Next, if you want to remember the macronutrients, you can remember like this. CH12, these three normally called the skeletal mineral. NPK, these three are important for a fertilizer. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. And the remaining three, calcium, magnesium, sulfur. So, these 9 elements are called macronutrients. Next, classification of minerals based on functions. First, structural component. The carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, these are all responsible for a structure. So, the structural component of mineral because of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. Minerals essential for enzyme functions. For example, one important question, the nitrogenase enzyme, you have to remember this mineral, molybdenum responsible for activity of the nitrogenase enzyme, and zinc is the activator of alcohol dehydrogenase and carbonic anhydrase. Magnesium is the activator of RUBP carboxylase and oxygenase and PEP carboxylase. These two enzymes are very important in the fixation of carbon dioxide in C3 cycle and C4 cycle. Nickel is a constant of urease and hydrogenase, the function of enzyme with the help of minerals. So, minerals involved in enzyme function. Osmotic potential, so for example, movement of stomata, opening and closing of stomata, absorption of water, turgidity, these are all due to osmotic potential. The important mineral is potassium. So, osmotic potential means potassium. Energy component. Energy component, minerals involved in a energy component. See what is the energy component mean? ATP is the energy component. So, here the phosphorus is the important mineral in ATP. Chlorophyll, in the middle of the chlorophyll there is a element called magnesium. So, magnesium essential for the chlorophyll, phosphorus is essential for ATP. Next we can see one by one the macronutrients functions, mode of absorption, deficiency symptom of macronutrients. First, nitrogen. The nitrogen is important element, important mineral responsible for the formation of protein, nucleic acid, amino acid, vitamins, hormone, alkaloid, chlorophyll, cytochrome. So, this is very important mineral. The deficiency symptom normally chlorosis and stunted growth, anthocyanin formation. You can see the picture, nitrogen deficiency, chlorosis, the leaf turn into yellow color because the loss of chlorophyll pigment. So, nitrogen is essential for the formation of chlorophyll. Next, phosphorus. It is a constant of cell membrane, protein, nucleic acid, ATP and NADP, phytin and sugar phosphate. The deficiency symptoms stunted growth, anthocyanin, necrosis and inhibition of cambial activity. Affect root growth and ripening, fruit ripening. You can see the picture, the anthocyanin formation, the deficiency of phosphorus. Next, potassium. So, potassium responsible for osmotic potential, opening and closure of stomata and phloem translocation and anion cation balance by ion exchange. The deficiency symptom, important symptom, marginal chlorosis. The chlorosis where it is appear in marginal region and low cambial activity and loss of apical dominance. You can see the marginal chlorosis and necrosis. Necrosis means death of the tissue, chlorosis means the leaf turn into yellow color, loss of chlorophyll pigment because of potassium. Next, marginal chlorosis, you can see the picture, the marginal chlorosis, the chlorosis appear on margin of the leaf. Next, calcium. Calcium is present in the form of calcium pectate in middle lamella. Mitotic spindle formation, essential for mitotic spindle formation. And the important point, it is involved in lipid metabolism, permeability of cell membrane and activation of phospholipase and ATPase. The deficiency symptom chlorosis, necrosis and important disease, the black heart of celery, hooked leaf tip. The hooked leaf tip is very important point for calcium. So, the hooked leaf tip you can see in plants like tomato, sugar beet and musa. So, chlorosis and necrosis, the calcium deficiency, hooked leaf tip, tomato and sugar beet and musa. Musa means nothing but banana. Next, calmodulin. So, what is calmodulin? Calcium modulating protein of eukaryotic cell called calmodulin. It is a heat stable protein. It is involved in fine metabolic regulation. Normally, calcium act as a secondary messengers. For the action of calcium, this protein is essential. So, it is an intermediary protein which sends the calcium level, is a regulatory protein of secondary messenger system. So, calcium is a secondary messenger system. So, it is a calcium modulating protein. Okay, so that means the calcium is essential for this protein which involved in fine metabolic regulation. Magnesium is a constant of chlorophyll, It is the activator of carbohydrate metabolism. And important point, binding of ribosomal subunit. The two ribosomal subunit, for example 70S and 80S ribosome made up of two subunits. These subunits are binding of subunits because of magnesium. That is a very important point for magnesium. The deficiency symptom, intervenal chlorosis. Here the chlorosis, but what type of chlorosis means intervenal. And syndrome of tobacco disease and anthocyanin formation. You can see the anthocyanin formation because of potassium, phosphorus, magnesium and sulfur. Then intervenal chlorosis because of magnesium. Next is sulfur. In sulfur, which is very important point, mean cysteine, cysteine, methionine. These three amino acids are formed because of sulfur. It is essential for the formation of these three amino acids. Then it is essential for biotin vitamin, thiamine, and it is a constant of protein and ferredoxin. The deficiency symptoms, chlorosis, anthocyanin formation, stunted growth, and the rolling of leaf tip. This is a very important point for sulfur. Rolling of leaf tip, you can see the picture. Next, micronutrients. In micronutrients, three minerals are very important. For example, boron, translocation of sugar, molybdenum, nitrogen metabolism for nitrogenase enzyme, zinc for biosynthesis of oxygen. Next, the iron. So, what is the iron? The iron is very important. We can consider is a macronutrient or micronutrient because it can be placed in any one of the group. Is required lesser than the macronutrient and larger than the micronutrients. Synthesis of chlorophyll pigment and carotenoids is a component of cytochrome, ferredoxin, flavoprotein. Formation of chlorophyll and porphyrin ring is the activation of catalase and peroxidase enzyme. The main symptom is intervenal chlorosis. You can see the intervenal chlorosis because of deficiency of iron. Next, manganese. The manganese is important for activation of carboxylase, oxidase and dehydrogenase. It is involved in splitting of water molecule. So, manganese is an important element for splitting of water molecule. This point you have to keep it in your mind. The deficiency symptom, intervenal chlorosis and grey spot on warts. You can see the picture, internal chlorosis, manganese. Next, the copper. Copper is an important micronutrient. It is involved in a redox reaction, synthesis of ascorbic acid, is a constant of a plastocyanin, and it is a maintain carbohydrate and nitrogen balance. The deficiency symptom, very important symptoms like dieback of citrus, reclamation disease of cereals and legumes, chlorosis, necrosis, and another important disease, exanthema in citrus. So, in citrus, dieback of citrus and exanthema in citrus disease, very important for copper deficiency. You can see the dieback of citrus, chlorosis and necrosis of copper, and exanthema in citrus. Next is zinc. Zinc essential for the synthesis of indole acetic acid, commonly called IAA, or we can say auxin. It is the activator of carboxylase, alcohol dehydrogenase, and it is very important for the dehydrogenase, alcohol dehydrogenase, lactic dehydrogenase and glutamic dehydrogenase. The deficiency symptom, the little leaf and mottle leaf, and important disease, Keira disease and intervenal chlorosis. You can see the little and mottled leaf due to zinc deficiency and Keira disease of rice. Next, boron. The boron important point is translocation of carbohydrate, or we can say sugar, or we can say sucrose. So, whatever it is, the translocation of carbohydrate because of boron, and it helps in pollen germination and important for nitrogen metabolism. Next, the symptoms is a premature fall of flowers and fruits, brown heart of beetroot and internal cork of apple, fruit cracks. These three very important: brown heart of beetroot, internal cork of apple and fruit cracks. You can see the picture: brown heart of beetroot, internal cork of apple, fruit cracks of mango, that is due to boron. Next, molybdenum. Molybdenum is important for nitrogenous enzyme activity and involved in nitrogen metabolism and nitrogen fixation. The deficiency, the important one, whiptail disease in cauliflower. You can see the picture, whiptail of cauliflower. And chlorine, involved in anion cation balance, cell division, photolysis of water. So, manganese and chlorine involved in photolysis of water. Photolysis means splitting of water. Nickel is a cofactor, enzyme urease and hydrogenase. Next, you can see the table, the deficiency disease and their symptoms of some minerals are given in the list: chlorosis, intravenous chlorosis, marginal chlorosis, and necrosis means death of the tissue, and stunted growth, nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, potassium, sulfur, anthocyanin formation, nitrogen, phosphorus, magnesium and sulfur, delayed flowering, nitrogen, sulfur and molybdenum. But important one, the macronutrients, the deficiency disease given as a chart here. You can see all the deficiency symptoms. The picture is given here. The next table, the copper, dieback of shoot, reclamation disease, exanthema, calcium hooked leaf tip. These are all some specific mineral and specific disease. So, in examination they will ask this kind of questions. So, for example, calcium hooked leaf, copper dieback of shoot and exanthema, and zinc mean little leaf, boron brown heart of beetroot and internal cork of apple, and molybdenum whiptail of cauliflower and cabbage, and curd leaf margin, that is potassium. You can see the picture here, micronutrients and the deficiency disease. The pictures you can explain the important disease and the symptoms, micronutrients. Next, you can see some question. Identify the wrong statement with reference to criteria given by Arnon and Stout. So, out of these 4 criteria, which one is a wrong statement? Here, the first option, indirect role in the metabolism of plant, that is a wrong statement, because essential nutrient mean which play direct role, not indirect role. So, the answer is A. So, I think this portion of the topic is very simple. Just prepare it, read the concept. Let us see in the next chapter, mineral nutrition part 2. Until then, bye from Kali Rajan.